Hello. Good evening, everyone. Anybody here?
Toothless tiger. Hi. Huh. Pasta.
Good morning, sir.
I can't hear anything.
I also cannot hear anything. I think Ravi sir is on mute mode.
Yes, he is on mute.
Yes, hi, good evening all. Let's get started. So we are talking about overall, the business analysis as a role. So how do you work? We work with a business to collect the vision, to, get the vision from them. We convert it to a requirement, the business requirement, and then we analyze, we elicit these requirements to functionalities and, share it with the development team, right? BA tries to be technology independent, but yes, there are certain ways and means how to depict this thing, or in case if you feel a strong need of supporting a particular technology or supporting a particular solution, you can depict it with the supporting artifacts, right? We've seen this now. As a crucial tool sets, BA normally use case, high level diagrams, Excel sheet, and couple of other tools which to present this thing to a business people, and then business people basically hand it over the knowledge to the development team, the construction team, and they start working on that's overall how BA works, right? Mansa ma'am, as you joined a bit later, we'll have one-on-one session sometimes, whenever you through with the recordings, view, there'll be, I think, around 6 recordings, 6 sessions, you can go through them, and then we can have a walkthrough with you and me one-on-one. Does that sound okay to you?
Okay, sir.
No problem. Mansa ma'am, could you please tell us about yourself, like what have you done? Have you any IT experience or so?
No, sir, I don't have any IT experience. I had done my BTech Computer Science in 2006.
Wow.
And after that, so many things are going on fast. We are in Hyderabad. After that, because of husband work, we had to shift to Bangalore, and from there now to US.
Okay. Which part of US are you in?
Yeah, central part. This is Texas.
Okay, Texas. Okay, I used to be there in St. Louis. Then I used to be there in Hartford, Connecticut. So I've seen these two coasts. Sorry, the Middle West and the East Coast, basically. No problem. That's
We are
really
in
great.
Dallas.
Yes, that's great. That's great. So, that's how we normally do. We normally take a revision. We normally take, we have lots of hands-on workshop also. So, you and me, we're going to do a kind of use case workshop by ourselves. And then, HLD, we are starting today most probably. So, we did some Excel. Have you worked on Excel before?
Not much, but okay, I am with that.
Sure, sure. Basically, a table creation, pie chart. Have you ever created a pie chart?
Yeah, but mostly it is long ago. It's
No problem. We
out
will
of
brush up your skill.
after my BTech.
We will work together. We'll
Pie
have,
chart and bar charts and
I
all.
can understand. I can understand. No problem. So, I'll share the recording link with you so that you can go one by one, and then, we can sync together whenever you have time. Might be an hour or two, or, more than that if required. Let's see on that. This workshop is more or less hands-on oriented. So what we do, we teach, we discuss in depth. We basically, it's a two-way session. So if you have any question, please, speak up. Don't worry about, link breakage and all those things. So let's try to understand and learn, as fast as we can, as in depth as we can. And, let's try to achieve the maximum knowledge or gain the maximum knowledge, right? This is a, screenshot I like. Basically, what we do in terms of business analyst, I normally share these things. So what we do, we basically, collect the business vision, convert it to, requirements, try to discuss with stakeholder, because there could be some gap, there could be some, confusion. So we try to use various techniques and tools with the business analysis, so that whatever vision we grab from a business delegates get converted to a requirement, and we try to build a kind of high level solution layout and hand it over to the technical team, the development team, right? That's the overall, what you can say, 4-element thing which we basically work on, right? And this is more or less much logical and technology independent work we do. So for that, we normally create some artifact, we normally create some documentation. So what does documentation predominantly? So we work on use case diagram to present what each and every functionality is in store for execution. We try to present overall, a high level diagram, a kind of bird's eye view for an application solution, what is pertaining to a business, requirement shared by, these delegates and shareholders. And then we try to present this requirement in the in-depth format using various, templates given by my organizations, various presentations templates which is given by the organization I'm working with. Normally, the way we discussed a solution is like me. I'm working with Infosys as a business analyst. We are trying to, work out a solution, or we are in a process of getting down the requirement from State Farm as an insurance company. Both are my mature IT company, so they both have certain templates to work with me, because they have a uniformity within their organizations, within their quality management system, so that whenever I start working with them, they'll give me something like induction workshop. What does induction workshop do? It introduced me to overall organizations, policies, processes. Normally, what we refer to as a quality management processes, QMS, right? Quality management system. So we try to adopt those systems. We try to adopt those templates. So why we use template? Because template is a unified Word document. We try to fill in the requirement gap, so that whenever I work on something like system requirement document as a business analyst, I try to collect in a different chapter. Each chapter has a specific reference and specific contents, so that whenever I present it to the, delegates, the project team, you normally have a unified view, right? Each and every organization has its way of presentation, way of, defined or evolved quality management services, where we try to adopt by joining that organization. Okay, anybody have any question for me at this moment? Have we understood this is just a revision, right? So we are trying to get Mansi ma'am to our overall flow of, discussions and all. Any question
Okay,
for
sir.
me at this moment? Welcome, Nina
No,
ma'am.
no.
Okay, great. Then let's move on. So we collect requirement. We use these, different type of requirement: business requirement, stakeholder requirement, wish list, solution requirement, functional requirement, non-functional requirement. We've seen how we categorize these things. more or less we collect the vision and convert it to a requirement, convert it to a functionality overall, right? There could be another labels to it as well. So we can call them transition and readiness requirement, project requirement, and quality requirement. A requirement can fall into basically two different subgroups, right? So, we are trying to not label any requirement, but we just collect requirement. We build a list of requirement. We might create something like, an Excel sheet, and then try to create or try to include that Excel sheet in my SRS as well. That's also done. Normally what comes to me, the BRD, business requirement document, normally comes to me. So business requirement document can be as simple as an email with a bulleted point, or a Word document, as we see the template, right? They can basically include everything in a template, which is a unified way of working. But normally 80 to 85%, we normally get an email with a bulleted point sent by the client dignitary or the sales manager, so that we can basically go and start requirement gathering. So requirement gathering is basically, these are the many discussions we do, these are the many interactions we do. Normally these are now online meets like Google Meet or Zoom Meet or something like that. So these are the sessions where we try to collect all these requirements. The main motto is collect all these things and then decide which are to be excluded or put it to the lower priorities and so on and so forth. And then manage this requirement is also what we do. We collect requirement, we manage this requirement with the traceability, with the overall building the solutions for them, right? So we do elicitation, we do analysis, we do documentation, we build a traceability. So who said what is also important to me, the background is also important to me, right? And then we get this approved from the dignitaries within the client organizations and within my organization also, so that both are in sync on the solution. They understand what needs to be done for a solution, right? We've seen two really great bodies which are evolved, which have defined some business analysis uniform processes. One of them is Project Management Institute, right? We've seen the inputs and the outputs according to the project management. We've seen the inputs and output with a BA book also. BA book is a kind of Bible we refer for our day-to-day activities. They have clearly given roles versus responsibility, clearly given the overlaps, clearly given the overall how me as an BA have the ownership as a product owner or as a project manager, and how closely I work with these guys. Product owner is basically a guy who creates the vision, who basically shares the vision with me. This is the guy who's sent that 7 or 8 point requirement email to me as a business analyst. I try to collect these things. I try to have a subsequent discussion with the product owner and his team. This is a client what we are talking about. So me as a business analyst, I start the engagement. I closely work with the client so that I can understand the vision in detail, and then I work with my own organizations to create a solution for it. That's how the overall BA's work overlap we've seen in depth, right? So let's go ahead. I'm not just trying to revise everything quickly. So we create business requirements, stakeholder requirements, wish list, solution requirement. That's I come up. This is what the elicitation is about. I create the solution for a given requirement, for a given wish list, right? And then I create a functional and non-functional requirement. Normally this is done in FRS, which is based on the SRS, which business analysts I create, I own, right? We've seen the template of SRS, we've seen the template of BRD. We have also had an overview of FRS. Okay, so we'll basically we know which comes to me. How do I collect? How do I cope up with the document template? We are going to have a workshop on SRS again in depth, so that we can present a complete SRS to the delegates as a project team or the development team, right? Then as an BA, I do strategic business analysis. I do analytical business analysis. Strategic business analysis is basically pertaining to the goals which I created or strategic plans which I created longer than 6 months. And these are typically a process improvements plan, right? And this normally strategic analysis I do within my organizations. This is normally done by senior analysts, so that who have worked in those processes, the quality management systems, and they feel we need to upgrade it, we need to enhance it, and that's how the strategic business analysis is labeled. But yes, I normally do strategic business analysis. Even if I don't label it that way, I improve my life day in day out, right? That's how we human work. So strategic business analysis is kind of, whatever I plan ahead of 6 months, for me, for my organization, for my client, right? Analytical business analysis, so we analyze the business, we try to analyze the vision, we try to analyze the business backgrounds, the actual pain challenges they have, we try to provide a solution, right? So this is what the business analysis is. Then I do some investigative business analysis. If I am falling short of some information, I proactively set up a call, online meet, try to talk to the stakeholders. So stakeholder is a person where he have a vested interest in the solution, vested interest in the product or solution which we are trying to propose to the client, right? So we do investigative business analysis with all the stakeholder. So even like we say, we are trying to enhance an attendance management system for State Farm. Every employee is a stakeholder because he is going to use that enhanced attendance management system which we are trying to implement in State Farm. Okay, so every employee is going to go through that attendance management procedure, right? He's going to use his biometric or iris, whatever we have installed or we have devised as a solution. He's going to use that solution and basically mark his attendance day in day out, right? And which is clubbed with the State Farm's other system, so that everything works in a synergy. That's an ideal scenario we talk about, right? And we continuously work with State Farm to build and enhance their attendance management system. So nowadays what we work in an agile environment. We are flexible enough to go and ask State Farm, so that, hey State Farm, are you having problem with the solutions? Can I take to the next level? So if I given a biometric, I can enhance it to the iris scanner, I can enhance it to the full body scanner, or whatever it's a need, whatever the time and technology supports me, right? So that's how all these engagements are normally go years altogether, right? That's why me as a business analyst, I closely work with business, I closely work with all seniors, CEOs, CTOs, MDs of the world, so that whatever their thought process in terms of enhancing their visions, business, I closely work with them to get the solution for them. And that's how my crucial role does play a very important part. Now, when I create a solution, I need to understand the quality aspects of both the organization, the client as well as the organization which I'm working for. So that's why quality assurance is a need, quality control is a need, because I'm a keen solution creator. I conceive this solution, I develop this solution to start with, right? So I tries to check it or validate it for its conformance to the requirement we gathered earlier. And that's how we basically track the quality control also. Quality control is basically checking the conformance, right? We have something called test cases. We will see that whenever we do quality control and quality assurance also. And then we learn in depth about agile techniques, methodologies, template, and Scrum. Scrum is the most used agile methodology in today's IT world, information technology domain. As an analyst, I'm a part of information technology domain, right? So we try to understand how the Scrum works, how the Scrum call works, how we go ahead with the backlogs analysis, backlogs priorities, how we normally go with the 10 minutes daily Scrum meet, how we normally raise the issue to the product owner, project manager, the subject matter experts, and so on and so forth. So now we are going to learn the tools and techniques which is used in today's IT majors, right? So I believe that that's overall, we are going to do. We have started this thing with a simple and, understanding of business analysis process. Anybody have any questions at this moment? I'm just revisiting for us. I'm just trying to, revise the whole, what you can say, business analysis process and how business analysis work in a day-to-day life, right? We normally plan the business analysis process, we define the scope, we elicit the requirement, we validate the requirement, we analyze the requirement, and the documents of requirements are delivered and owned by business analysis. These are normally SRS. SRS is the document which I normally own by myself. I share it with the development team. Within SRS, I have something called use case diagram. I have HLDs of the world. and as per the organizational requirement or as per the organizational quality processes, I normally work on one or more tool as well, because there are certain domains, there are certain technical requirements which needs to be included, with something like fishbone diagram, SWOT analysis, and all those things. So I'll
What
try to
is meant by
learn
SRS?
system requirement document.
Pardon, sir?
A system requirement document or system requirement specification. That's a standard way of converting or collecting the requirement and hand it over to the development team. We have seen a template from IIBA and PMI unified template, which we normally discuss in depth. We have complete, I believe, almost 2 sessions on SRS as well. Okay, so you'll learn in depth. Please don't worry on that part. Means each and every chapter we're going through what it means, what are the contents, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Okay. Sorry for
No,
the interruption.
no, nothing to be sorry about. Please keep asking question, and that's how we all learn. So even if anybody have missed SRS, they can also join. Okay, so no problem in that. This is the most important, diagram as far as BA goes. We will try to understand the requirement life cycle. So what we do, we envision, we conceive the requirement, we plan the requirement development, we, develop these requirements, we develop this document, we develop this use case diagram, we develop a couple of, based on couple of tools if the quality management procedure demands it, but normally that's not a normal or unified processes. And then we launch this requirement, we discuss with the development team, and then we hand it over to the development team. So what we normally do, we identify executives, the ROIs and the business objectives of the world. Then we basically go to a elicitation of a requirement. How do? We do interview, we do group discussions, we have workshops, we have prioritization, we have sign off, we have surveys, and so on and so forth. We also analyze model requirements and business rule. We try to club this together to plan our overall success as far as business analyst goes. And then we transition this knowledge to the developers, testers of the world. And then we also plan for the change, prioritization, document updates, and impact analysis. This is a kind of agile way of converging it to the updated requirement, or it's a kind of cycle what we do as an scrum cycle you can call normally, so that whatever clients wants us to update or get in line the change of business need, we normally adapt to those. Okay, then we deploy these, we also help to development team to create training materials. The trainings, we normally give the trainings also, because the way I've conceived the idea, I'm the domain expert, right? This is what we call domain. Domain is a specific part of the business which we understand in depth, because I have conceived this idea, right? And I have created this idea from a small baby, take it to a level where a development team can start working on that. So that's how I'm a crucial development expert, and I can train these guys on understanding that business vision which we have shared with me, which is evolved to a solution, product, or a services, right? And then I build a cutover plan, the release plan. We'll come to that in quality control. Then user acceptance testing. This is also testing is a part of quality control. We control the quality. We control the conformance to the requirement which is gathered by me as a business analyst. Then how do we measure our success? We have something called surveys. We have something called adoptions. We have something called key process indicators, success matrices, actual cost and benefit type of analysis also. So this is a kind of business analysis roles, duties, and auditory facts in a glimpse. So whenever I'll be a business analyst, I'll have this picture on my cabin, so that I understand if I'm missing anything. Does that make sense? Anybody have any question for me?
I'm good.
Great. Chalo, let's go ahead. We are just brushing up quickly. So we have worked on brainstorming. We had a look at brainstorming. It's like basically meeting together. We do document analysis. If they are shared a document with us, if they are basically came to us with certain the photographs or the site map or something like that, we do work on the document. We analyze the document. We also take help from focus group, subject matter experts, center of excellence within my company, because even me as an analyst, I'm growing, I'm progressing. So if I stuck at certain point, let's if I don't have a knowledge of a domain I'm working in, my organization as an Infosys supports me with these subject matter experts, center of excellence or focus group, where they can address me. So if I want to go there and ask which is the best way to track attendance, nowadays we call it iris scanner. Iris scanner, we normally scan everybody's eye so that everybody's attendance get noted. The since the iris scanner can sense your iris, and which is I think unique, one in a million kind of scenario, as the eye pattern and color and all those things, those variable goes, right? So that's how iris scanner attendance management system is one of the most foolproof system which we can implement nowadays, which we have discussed in our example, as we are going to implement iris scanner for State Farm. I am working as a business analyst in Infosys. I'm giving a solution of iris scanner implementation to enhance their attendance management system to the State Farm. That's how we normally discuss. We do interface analysis. So what I study their current systems. I try to add this system to the current system so that they work in a sync. I try to interview stakeholder whenever there is a requirement, wherever there is a view for a given scenario, which solution which I am proposing to the State Farm. So I normally do interview of the stakeholders. I normally try to understand and list down the wish list also. Even I go to a site, or even I basically try to observe certain critical functionality if I want to enhance it, if I want to create a solution for it. This is something like a robotic line for a fem care in Procter and Gamble. So I need to go there and analyze how those robots are working, in case if I need to suggest a modification or suggest any solution for them. So I do observation technique as well. Then there are other techniques. I do survey, because normally nowadays due to Corona, we do everything online, right? So surveys are basically a web pages shared with the client or shared with the stakeholders so that they can answer your questions at a leisure, and then you can analyze those questionnaire, analyze those survey, so that I'll get the requirement clarified to me. I also do a prototyping. Prototyping is basically building a small proof of concept, POC, so that whenever I'm trying to build the complete product, it will be a kind of what you can say, extension of that prototype. So if I want to build a robot which works on a water, so I'll create a small prototype. I'll not build a big robot. I'll try to create a small prototype which can basically walk on the water, or we can basically pedal on the water or something like that. So, right? Then we had a look at these documents, BRD and SRS. Functional requirement document or functional requirement specification is a formal statement of an application of functional requirement. This is owned by BA. Okay, this is the input, design, business process update, product, manufacturing, modification process. This is a kind of base for the business analyst. This is how business analysts generate the outputs. We had a look at input output methodology. This is IABA. So what are the input, what are the tools and those things. Then we also had a understanding of analysis tools we normally use. So we use something like flow charts, activity diagram, use case diagram, Microsoft Excel, mind map, product roadmap, and so on and so forth. There are 12-15 other tools. We've started with overall learning Excel, right? And that's where we are now, right? We understood overall, how the charting works, which charting suits to my, overall personality. And then I can work on that chart. I can present this chart to my presentations with the auditory facts, which I have collected, right? With the data, which I have collected. And so that I can be sure of whatever options I have chose. Have I missed anything? Anybody have any questions so far?
I'm good.
Great. Okay, now let's start working on high-level diagram. High-level diagram or high-level design, at its called. This is basically a bird's eye view of architecture. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create overview of entire system. I'm trying to create one-pager design normally. This can be done with pen, paper. There are tools available. There are very high-level tools also available. Normally, in a given scenario, we can do it with a pen, paper also. and I'm going to show you how to do it with the Microsoft Word. Okay. Yes. Yesterday I had asked a question in a group. So what type of Microsoft Word versions are you using? This is important because whenever I was discussing with many participants for that interview preparation, right, the reference ready resume and those things, so that time I found like there's a bit of differences in whatever the Microsoft Office you are using. So it's really crucial part to understand which version of Microsoft Office we are using. Could you please say it loud so that I can note it down?
I used 13.
Okay, same. I'm also using 2013. Deepti ma'am?
I need to check. I'll just check and let you know.
Sure. You can put it in a chat box or you can put it in a group. Because then I need to tell you what are the difference. Because the base version is 2010. If you go to below 2010, then there'll be a challenge, right? So we need to basically I need to understand how to work with 2010 at least. So we'll have a look at those way. I'll present various help material or some good video to you so that you can brush it up. Yes ma'am.
No, sir, where to check? I have Word open with me.
Okay, go to help and about. Go to help and there's a button called about or a link called about.
Okay.
Mansa ma'am, which version of MS Office are you using?
I am checking, sir.
No problem. Deepika ma'am?
I think I'm using 2013.
Perfect. I'm also using 2013. So we can, Lila ma'am, you, me, same page. Perfect, no problem. Madhuri ma'am, which version are you using? Okay, no problem. I believe she's on a mobile or something. No problem. Pavni ma'am, which version are you using? Pallavi ma'am, Swati ma'am.
Sir, my laptop is little old. It's a 2007 version is there.
Okay. Any chance if you can upgrade to at least 2010?
Yeah, sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Just check it out. Let's just check it out. See, I'm there to train out. Please don't worry. So I'll guide you on that. I'll present some videos. I'll try to, basically, walk you through the changes so we can up to the speed. Please don't worry. Swati ma'am, which version do you use?
Yeah, mine is 2016.
Wow, great. You have the latest basically. So that's good. 2016 and 360 are the latest version of Microsoft Office. Yes, Madhuri ma'am.
Sir, I don't know what version I'm using. I don't know how to look at.
Okay, could you see about or could you see help anywhere on the top ribbon?
Let me see.
Click on that help. There should be a button or a link called about. Click that and you'll get to know which version of Office you are using.
I'm looking.
So I believe we are good.
I'm using 2010.
Oh, great. No problem. So I'm not worried.
Okay.
Perfect. There's no, there's no challenge as such, but yes, we need to walk that extra mile, right? Because whenever you're going to work with any client like Infosys or anything, you will normally work on 2010 plus. I don't know, and they'll share the license with you. I don't know how they're going to share the license with you, or they might have Office 360 altogether, which is basically a web-based office. So you need to sign it as an executive, and they'll lend you those licenses so that you can start using those MS Office. Okay, let's go ahead. So this is a very crucial part when you say high level diagram. This is a kind of summarized bird eye view. There could be one or many high level diagram depending on your thought process, right? We have collecting thought process. And we are generating requirements out of it, right? So it's my personal, sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sir, I'm using MS Office 365 Pro Plus.
Wow, great. You are the latest, ma'am. So anybody using 216, 219 or 365, these are the latest one. Most probably 99%, I believe every mature IT organization normally gives a license of 360 for your office use. Okay, so that's the best thing to be in. No problem, we are all set then. Okay, so yes, normally we create 1 or 2 high level diagrams depending upon the complexity, depending upon the progress of the requirement, progress of the meetings, surveys, and various tools which we use to gather requirement. Okay, now this is a kind of high level architecture diagram. We try to keep technology out of it as much as possible. So these are non-technical, or you can say mildly technical, because certain thing has to be included into it. If you are going to devise a car, there should be 4 wheels, there should be engine, there should be 4 doors. It's normally made for 4 people. That's a generalized assumption. So there are certain generalized assumptions that can be tweaked. So if you're making an electric car, there's no requirement for fuel tank, right? There'll be requirement for battery packs. Okay, so these type of technicality can be addressed, but we'll try to keep away as a business analyst, as much away as possible from the technicalities. And for technicalities, I can leverage the COEs of the world, Center of Excellence, subject matter expert, so that I can include and validate my technicality depending on the discussion, right? In contrast to low level design, which is basically a kind of reference document devised for developers to create classes, to create modules, to create functionality on the nth level. HLD is a summarized view, right? HLD is basically shared with business people also. LLD is just for the development team, just for the construction people. High level diagram, HLD is shared with all. We had a discussion on this HLD. The budgetary sign off is normally given on the HLD. This is like what you're going to do and how you're going to do on a bird's eye view scale for a given product, services, or a solution. Does that make sense? Anybody have any confusion on these?
I'm good.
Great. So if you have any confusion, please do ask questions so that we can get it clarified for everybody. Now this is a preliminary stage of software development. This is an early stage of software development. So there could be changes. This diagram, this design gets evolved over time. We add many things, we subtract some things. We try to justify these updations day by day, like our discussions go, right? I might create, wait a minute. I might create, oh great. Okay, Madhuri ma'am using 2016. Wow, great. Chalo. So, that's how we do. We progress step by step. So even gathering vision, gathering requirement is not a ribbon cutting ceremony. We try closely work with client with all these interview, all this brainstorming. We go step by step. We conceive this solution. We build this solution from the first element, from the first conceptual block. So these are HLD are typically conceptual designs, right? So I'm building my concept. I try to evolve this concept. So these are the logical diagram as well as conceptual diagram as in bird's eye view. These normally don't name the module, but we have a generic name for the modules or a group of modules. This is an overview diagram. This is called bird's eye view. This is also called data flow diagram. In good old days, this used to, go ahead, please. Okay, so these can be called as a data flow diagram, process flow diagram, or business process diagram as well. So there are these labels given by different regions, different cultures, right? So we'll try to understand. In US normally it's called HLD, high level diagram or high level design, or bird's eye view. That's the 2 words mostly used, but these are the other words used. So we're going to have a look at those as well. Okay, so this is a high level design, provides an overview of a system, product, services, or a process. Such overview helps supporting components to be compatible to others. Why we are doing this? We are trying to build a system which is compatible with the system which is there in existence at State Farm, at our client where I'm trying to give these solutions to. Okay, the highest level of design should be briefly describe the platform, system, products. This is a kind of backdrop what we're talking about within the given client. So if the client is using something like SAP, if the client is using something like existing systems, I try to get it connected to that system so that everything works in a uniformity, right? The tools I normally use, Lucid Chart, Visio, and pen and paper, right? So we'll try to do it with Microsoft Word, which is a close, brother, sister, what do you want to call it. Visio is kind of typically a templarization tool. We'll look at the Visio also. Please don't worry on that part. Lucidcharts is an open system, which is free for all. They have certain limitations for free, but yes, you can use Lucidchart for creating HLD, and pen and paper is the best, friend. So pen and paper is the best. Once I done with pen and paper, I can migrate to other tools as well, right? So business processes could be depicted called as process flow diagram. Why we call it process flow diagram? Because as we see, right, activity diagram. So we plan these activity, we plan these business processes, and that's why they call it process flow diagram also. So HLD can be an activity diagram as well, but normally we try to unite all these activities together. So this could be just a name of activity mentioned there. So there's a requirement, there's a challenge, there's a problem on left hand side, and there's a solution on right hand side. These are the two blocks. You can call it HLD. That's the basic bare minimum. Could you understand what I'm trying to say here? Requirement on left hand side and the solutions on the right hand side, and two boxes communicating with each other is what the solution HLD is. This is the basic crude or basic low, the basics of the high level diagram. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Great, no problem. Then we have business process diagram. BPD. I don't know. BPD. So this should be like this. BPD or BPM. So these are also labeled as business process diagram or business process managements also. So that's why we all have BPM in our profile, because HLD is a need. Business process diagram is a need because that's how we present the complete solution to the development team, to the business delegate, to sign off, to approve the project, product or services which is going to came into existence after all those resource requirement, planning and construction and execution, right? So this is the kind of start of building a solution. Now I'm going to conceive the solution from the vision, convert it to the requirement, convert it to the functionality, and this list of functionality is normally called a HLD, right? So just two boxes, one requirement, other is solution, and that's how the HLD comes into shape. And then you can go one by one, you can go in depth as well if there's a need or if the business asks for it, because whenever you try to go into detail, it's going to take time, right? So if we have time at our disposal, if we have more time, I can go into depth by one. So there could be a possibility, but it's a rare thing to have multiple HLDs in a presentation, right? So just we were trying to understand the best practices. We are trying to learn how the BA works in a normal industry, and we try to stick to it. If there's any deviation, we'll work on it on the job. So I'll be there for you. Please don't worry on that part. So let's try to understand the basic standard processes we follow, right? Now, it should be noted that many people use this shape in a slightly different way. So somebody use box, somebody use circle, somebody use cloud shape, because cloud is depicted as that cloud, right? So Word have certain symbols, Microsoft Word, and we'll have a look at that as well, right? So now, when you say BPMN, and that's how it normally called also, but HLD is a normal terminology. Let's go with HLD. HLD can be used visually represent something like purchase process, or it's just a single box or a single arrow saying purchase process hitting the solution. That's how we can depict it, and we'll look at this using various symbols, various standardized way of depicting HLDs, right, in many other essential sequences. So I have a video on that. Let's have a look at it, and then we'll take a question and answer. Anybody have any questions for me at this moment?
I'm good.
Okay, great. So let's have a look at small video. It's called notation thing, right? Yes. Hi, today I'll be teaching. Wait, I'll share this thing. I have to stop share this, and I need to start share again, and to start share this. So this is a kind of again a Lucidchart based good video of depicting how HLD works, and we'll have a look at a uniformity across the IT matured organization also. So we will basically try to build an HLD, we'll try to work on an HLD, we'll try to formulate some sort of solution. So this is a kind of we are doing the actual BA job now, right? So we are getting our hands on, we are getting hands dirty. So try to understand how you as a person can do it. The person who is presenting have its own way, because as I told you, right, we are artists, we are not scientists, we are artists. We conceive this art of vision to requirement and requirement to functionality in my personality and then present it accordingly. Okay, so we need to understand the artist fact of it also. The tools are mere to help you out, tools are mere to support us. Okay, so let's go on with this video. Let's try to understand. It's a 12-minute video, and if you have any question, please say so. Please don't wait for some time. You might miss that question, right? So please.
About business process model and notation, also known as BPMN or BPMN 2.
Could you hear the voice?
Yes, all well.
Okay.
BPMN is a flowchart method that models the steps of a planned business process from start to finish. At a high level, BPMN helps stakeholders gain understanding through a visual representation of a specific process. Because diagramming can make complex ideas easier to understand, BPMN helps process participants, analysts, managers, technical developers, and many others to visually represent things like order fulfillment, incident management, purchase processes, and many other essential business sequences. In this tutorial, we'll quickly go over the building blocks of BPMN and spend the rest of our time creating a simple BPMN diagram together. To build my diagram, I'll be using a diagramming software called Lucidchart. Check out the link in the description below if you want to follow along in the product. You can sign up for a free Lucidchart account that includes a BPMN 2.0 shape library. BPMN is made up of certain elements or shapes that comprise its visual language. BPMN has 4 main groups of shapes. I'll be going into detail on each of these later, but here are the main categories. Flow objects. These include events, activities, and gateways. Connecting objects. These are the lines that show sequence and message flow.
These are the human notification, right? Unified modeling notifications we talked about. So there are, 4 groups.
These later, but here are the main categories. Flow objects. These include events, activities, and gateways. Connecting objects. These are the lines that show sequence and message flow, as well as associations. Pools and swim lanes. These represent major participants in a process.
Normally, this is a kind of advanced thing. I'm just trying to give you an overview. We do it in a much simpler way. Okay, and but I want to give you an overview. So if you want to be working as an architect or working as an what you can say designer, then you have to learn all these things. But right now, just try to understand what the HLD is normally depicted, how it's drawn. But we will not go into such technicality. We'll have HLD, a simple plain HLD, right? So I don't know if I'm trying frightening you or something like that. Just have a look and we'll take question and answer.
Artifacts. These bring an additional level of detail to a BPMN diagram. The first kind of flow object is an event. Events are triggers that start, modify, or complete a process. There are 3 types of events: start, intermediate, and end. Each process in a BPMN diagram must begin with an initiating event called the start event. A start event is designated by a circle with a thin border. Many start events contain an icon in the middle to define the event's trigger. For example, a start event that contains an envelope icon indicates that a message arrives and triggers the start of a process. An intermediate event has a double border made of 2 circles. End events signify the end of a particular process or path within a process. When you see an end event, you'll know that nothing else needs to be done in the process after that point. End events have a thick border. Intermediate and end events, like starting events, can be further designated by one of several symbols. And remember, your BPMN diagram, no matter what it is, will always have at least 1 start event and at least 1 end event. Activities are the next type of flow object, and they are the building blocks of BPMN diagrams. They represent specific tasks performed by a person or system, and they're shown by a rectangle with rounded corners. There are 4 main types of activities: task, sub-process, transaction, and call. For sake of simplicity, we'll only focus on tasks in this tutorial. A task is a single action that occurs in a business process, like mailing a letter or editing a draft of a news release. They are likely the most common shapes you'll see in a diagram because they represent actions performed by process participants. Remember that activities, like a lot of shapes in BPMN, can be further designated with icons to visually show important attributes, like message send or receive, user tasks, manual tasks, or service tasks, among others. The last type of flow objects are gateways. Gateways are represented by a diamond shape and are decision points that can adjust the process path or flow based on certain conditions or events. Like a pipe may split and divert water in two directions, so are gateways. They create a condition where a choice needs to be made. For example, a gateway can be used to show the separation in a process path where a customer decides between two different shipping options. There are several different types of gateways differentiated with symbols. We won't go more into these right now, but I'll include a link in the description of this video that covers each type in more detail. While gateways call out certain decision points, it should be noted that gateways are not decisions, nor do they make decisions. Rather, they dictate the flow of the process. Connecting objects are the lines present in every BPMN diagram. They show the order of activities to be performed, and there are three types. First is the sequence flow symbol, a solid line with an arrow at the end, which shows the main order of activities to be performed. Next is the message flow symbol, a dotted line that depicts messages that flow across pools. You'll see these lines connecting different tasks between swim lanes. More on that in a moment. Lastly, there's the association symbol, which shows relationships between artifacts and flow objects. We'll cover artifacts in a few moments as well.
These are the symbols which we have seen in our sequence diagram as well. No, the activity diagram as well, if you can recall those things. So what he's trying to tell you, you can have activity diagram in place of HLD as well, right? So these are business process execution or business activity which you're going to supporting in our solution, right? Does that make sense? Anybody have any confusion at this moment?
No.
Sir, but the symbols and the they are different, right? The annotation.
Normally, yeah. Normally, what we do as in workshop is have activity, HLD as in two connecting boxes, or many connecting boxes, one to many or many to one, so that the requirement or the business wish list have to be supported by a solution. So normally, let me share the activity diagram. The HLD diagram which I normally share with you, right? So where's this? This is right. So let me go ahead. This is the diagram which I normally share with our participants. So the business problem, issue, challenges wish list goes to solution 1, solution 2, solution 3, the cloud solution, the centralized database, and something like that. What he is trying to tell you is basically a very in-depth activity diagram, or in-depth, activity diagram. Let's try to understand, because there are many, specifically I got this idea from TCS when I was talking to a BA in TCS working in California. He said they have started using this BPN as a standard tool for depicting HLDs now. So that's why I'm sharing this with you. But normally we'll do workshop and that requirement and solutions type of HLD. If the organization needs, they will train you on these tools, train you on these solutions, whatever they use in their day-to-day life. Okay, but I am just sharing with you as in best practices adopted by a few, because nowadays we are going to do this thing online, right? So if we can adapt to additional details, we are ready to do that. So we are walking that extra miles to understanding how the HLDs have been progressing as well. Okay, so bear with me if I'm trying to frighten you, because I know it looks a bit overwhelming to learn these symbols and depict them as well, but just have a look at it, right? Does it answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. Let's go ahead. Let's have a look at it. Go ahead, please.
Events, activities, gateways, all these come under flow objects.
That's right, ma'am.
Gateways
and flow diagrams are normally referred as an activity diagram in use case UML, Unified Modeling Language. Nowadays, all IT majors, they follow something called Unified Modeling Language, UML, right? So use case diagram is also kind of diagram in UML. Activity diagram is also kind of diagram in UML. And these are basically, there are around 36 plus diagrams within UML to depict this architecture, to depict this, scientific way of presenting various objects interacting with each other. That's how the diagramming is used extensively in IT nowadays. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Pool represents a major participant in a process, like a company or an organization, and swim lanes show the participants within each company or organization. Swim lanes help define who is accountable for each part of the process, so no important steps are missed. Any process that involves one or more contributor will have swim lanes. And if you're modeling, for example, a business-to-business collaboration, you can give each company their own pool and further separate participants within each company with their own swim lanes. That type of BPMN diagram is called a collaborative diagram, and it's what we'll be creating together today. Lastly, there are artifacts. These are mostly used to bring an added level of detail to your BPMN diagram. There are three types of artifacts: data, group, and annotation. A data object represents data placed into the process, data resulting from the process, data that needs to be collected, or data that must be stored. A group object organizes tasks or processes that have significance to the overall process. For example, you might see a group around a certain set of activities and gateways. While a group may show a logical grouping of activities, it does not affect the flow of the diagram at all. Lastly, an annotation shape provides the modeler opportunities to describe additional flow parts of the BPMN diagram. Think of annotations as comments that can be used to clarify or explain a particularly complex part of a process. Flow objects, connecting objects, pools and swim lanes, and artifacts work together to make up BPMN's language. Now let's create a BPMN diagram together. Again, if you'd like to follow along in Lucidchart, check out the link below to sign up for a free trial. If not, follow along with your diagramming software of choice, or even a pen and paper. To further illustrate the concepts we've covered so far, I'm going to make up an example. We're going to make a basic BPMN diagram showing the process of buying ice cream in an ice cream shop. The first thing I need to do is identify what parties are involved in this process. First, there's the customer, and second, there's the ice cream shop. Since the customer doesn't work at the ice cream shop, and the ice cream shop doesn't employ the customer, they'll each have their own separate pool. This particular ice cream shop has two employees: the person making the ice cream, who we'll call the ice cream artist, and the cashier. These two will be put in the ice cream shop pool, but each have their own lane, as they have their own rules throughout the process. As we build this BPMN diagram, these will help us show quickly who's in charge of what tasks. To start documenting our process for buying ice cream, we'll first use a starting event shape. What is the starting event here? For every customer, in order to get ice cream from the shop, they first have to enter the store. Once a customer is in the store, the first thing they'll need to do to continue the process is to review the menu. This ice cream shop has lots of flavors, and the customer wants to be sure they see something they like before they order. Review menu will be the first task in our BPMN diagram. We'll also connect the starting event to this first activity, with the arrow pointing in the direction the process is going. This shows that first the customer enters the store and then reviews the menu options. After reviewing the menu options, the customer can react in one of two ways. They'll either see something they want to order, or they won't want to order anything. Because we have two options after this first task, we'll need a gateway. Remember, gateways are diamond-shaped and help guide the flow.
This is a decision-making box, right? Diamond is a decision-making box. We've seen in activity diagram as well as use case diagram, right? Same thing.
Flow of the process. We'll include an X in the gateway to show that these two options are mutually exclusive. This is called an exclusive gateway. So we'll draw two arrows and label one wants to order ice cream and the other doesn't want to order ice cream. If a customer doesn't want to order after reviewing the menu, they'll simply leave the store. And since nothing else happens after that, we'll make that an end event for this path in the process. After we label this leaves the store, there's nothing else we need to do for the path. For the other path, if the customer is excited about a particular ice cream flavor and wants to order, the next thing they'll do is order ice cream. We'll make orders ice cream our next task in this separate path. A couple of things to note regarding this task. First, because ordering ice cream involves communication with the ice cream artist, we'll put a black envelope icon in the top left of the task, indicating this is a send task, or one that involves sending a message to another process participant. Second, we need to consider what comes next in the process for both the customer and the ice cream artist. If you're the customer, after you've ordered ice cream, you need to wait for your ice cream to be made. This is our first intermediate event in the process, and we'll label it Wait for Ice Cream to be Made. We can also include a timer symbol to visually indicate that time is passing here for the customer. After that, the customer doesn't do anything until they receive their ice cream. And since that is so significant to the process, we'll consider it an intermediate event as well. If you're the ice cream artist, the first thing you're responsible for is to receive the order. This is the ice cream artist's starting event, and it is connected to the send task orders ice cream via a message flow symbol. We'll also put a white envelope icon in it to indicate that the message that was sent by the customer is received here. After the order has been received, the first task they need to perform is to check and make sure the ingredients for the order are available. The ice cream artist can't fulfill an order request without the necessary ingredients. At this ice cream shop, all the ice cream flavors are in tubs, so the ice cream artist can easily see what flavors are available. For the sake of this example, we'll call the tubs of ice cream our ice cream data, which we'll represent with a data shape. To fulfill the task, check ingredients, there needs to be an input of ice cream data. We can connect the data shape to the check ingredients task to show that at this point in the process, data must be input to move forward. We can also include an arrow icon with our data icon to show that this is data being input for this task. After checking for available ingredients, one of two things can happen. Either the ingredients are available, or there are not enough ingredients to fulfill the order. Because these options are mutually exclusive, we need another exclusive gateway to show the split in the flow of the process. We'll label the two arrows after this gateway to show the options. If ingredients are available to fulfill the order, the ice cream artist can make the ice cream. Since making the ice cream is performed physically by a person, we'll put a hand icon in our task to reflect that. This is a manual task. After making the ice cream artist then gives the ice cream to the customer, which is another manual task. But if there are not enough ingredients to fulfill the customer's order, the ice cream artist needs to perform the task, informs the customer. Then the customer will need to review the menu to see if there's anything else they want. And since that is already a step in our process, we can connect it back to the first task for the customer. Then the customer can decide if they want to order or not, and the process will continue as we've documented it so far. When we go back to the task gives ice cream, we'll use another message flow symbol to return to the customer pool and connect it to the intermediate event receives ice cream. Now that the customer has the ice cream in their hand, the next thing they need to do is pay for it. For sake of simplicity, we'll say that this ice cream shop only accepts credit cards. To pay, the customer will need to give their credit card to the cashier, which will begin the process for them. Just like when the customer gave their order to the ice cream artist, we'll include an intermediate event here after gives credit card to show that the customer waits while the cashier performs their tasks. The starting event for the cashier in this example will be credit card received. From there, they'll perform a few tasks to process the transaction. First, they'll confirm the order, and then the cashier will run the credit card through the machine, and finally, we'll return the credit card and receipt to the customer. Since these three tasks are all part of the transaction process, I'm going to use an artifact to show that they go together. The artifact I'm using here is called a group, and I'll put it around the three cashier tasks and label it transaction process. Once the cashier has performed these tasks, the process for the ice cream shop ends, so we'll put an end event here and label it transaction complete. When the cashier gives the credit card and receipt to the customer then needs to receive their credit card and receipt. We'll also make this an intermediate event. After the customer has their ice cream, method of payment, and receipt in hand, they're now ready to eat their ice cream. Their process ends when the customer finishes eating and leaves the store. Eats ice cream will be our customer's final task, and since it's a manual task, we'll label it with the appropriate icon. Leaves the store will be the end event for our process for the customer. BPMN is a great way to communicate complex processes to stakeholders in all departments. The example we made is fairly simple, but BPMN diagrams can get even more complex.
So this is basically a kind of enhanced activity diagram they are talking about, right? But we will go with the normal standard HLD way, which we were, discussing, which we were using previously, so that we can understand and, what type of solution in a bird's eye view, because, that's what we talk about. So we talk about creating, big bird's eye view in a simple diagram. So this is how it looks like. So what we do, we normally create some blocks, we normally create some solutions altogether. So there could be many solutions, there could be one solutions to many problems, there could be many problems solved by one solution, there could be one problem can have many solutions as well. So right, let's try to understand from our day-to-day the typical sample or example which we were discussing. We are trying to enhance an attendance management system at State Farm. So how do we do it? We try to implement ID scanner to scan each and every employee whenever he or she enters the gate. What does ID scanner does? He captures his identification like Ravindra Pandey with whatever eyes and the time in up to nanoseconds. That's how it captured, and it goes to the system. So the internal system, the internal server receives two data packets. It receives name, it receives the time, and on the name the internal system updates its database, updates or marks the attendance for a given person, and then it processes the attendance so that the leaves have to be carry forward, the remuneration salary has to be marked, the day start or end whatever it may be has to be marked accordingly, and so on and so forth. So this is a process which happens internally. But normally what I'm talking about is addressing a solution at a bird's eye view. So this box is in my HLD is normally called enhancing attendance management system, and there will be a solution word naming iris scanner implementation. There's a solution ABC naming cloud or centralized solution, centralized database. Solution 2 can be automated attendance and leave management system, something like that. So everything which is trying to support the vision, the problems, or the business requirement, business challenges at the time are depicted in the HLD in a concise way. So we'll go by this way only, right? Let's not try to jot down BPM as of now. We might do it as a workshop at the end of this course. Does that make any sense? Any confusions you have right now?
No, sir.
We are good, right? So we'll have this simple HLD drawing. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm good, sir.
Okay, no problem. Let's go ahead. Now there are various ways to do HLDs. This is one way, and this is what we normally came up last time as an attendance management system enhancement solution, HLD. Right. So what we are trying to do, they were current attendance system using as a manual with paper register, logbook, sign in, and blah 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 stuff. And then we have a time supervisor observing with the identity checks. The conversion to digital HR, we are trying to convert this attendance to a digital resource, right? So, and it has to be uniform. We need to remove the time consumeness of it. We need to basically have a standardized attendance management system all across the state farm offices, right? So what we're trying to do as a solution, we normally started, suggesting them a cloud-based attendance management system, which will be uniform throughout the globe. So wherever the office is normally get connected by internet to the centralized system. All the iris scanners are normally, or a biometric scanner, are connected to this server, which is connected to the centralized database server. So whenever somebody puts its eye against the iris scanners, the name and the time goes to the centralized server, and it basically updates the data for the leave management, alerts, approval, and blah 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 thing. So if anybody sends we can develop an Android app also, so that if anybody wants to mark a leave or apply for a leave or request for a leave, he or she can go an Android app like State Farm Enhanced Attendance System app and click there by logging in with a biometric fingerprint or login name and password, and mark his leave or mark his sick leave, casual leave, optional leave, and all sort of leave, and it can be get approved by the reporting officer or leave approval authority whenever he or she can get an alert on his mobile also, right? So this is how we work in a normally day-to-day manner as of now. And then as we discussed, we normally take care of the internal system which is existing at State Farm also. So what are these systems? So we are going to talk to the SAP, right? This is a kind of ERP. So we'll have certain data push-pull mechanism. I don't have to give the details. I don't have to include technology details here. I'm trying to give the solutions to the problem. That's all the HLD is normally composed of. And then I can include certain processes like guest pass entry. So there should be an iris scanner at the gate where I can normally label it as a guest 1, guest 2, so that he can be allowed with some restricted access, right? He can't go to accounts, or he can't go to, the locker and, blah, blah. So depending on my policies and processes, I can restrict access for the, guest for the less restricted, external entities. I can have a restricted access for that also. And that can be pre-programmed in the attendance management system also. So attendance management system is also working as a physical security system, right? So this type of additions we can do for our client, and that's why this solution is what we call evolving day by day, right? And that's why we use agile as an project methodology, right? Any questions or confusion for me at this moment?
No, I'm good.
Okay, great. Chalo. Super. And then let's try to understand various actual HLDs depicted. These are kind of different versions. These are like whenever you go in depth, we will try to create a HLD depending on our level of thought process, our level of understanding, and the technicalities of the organization policies and processes. Let's try to understand. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sir, in the last PPT, why
Mhm.
we have these diagrams outside the box? Like, in the HLD.
This one?
Previous one.
Yeah, the guest pass entry and SAP, why they are outside the box?
Yes, these are getting added afterwards. So these are what we call iterations. First, we need to set up the scanners, right? Then I'll set up a computer basically, which we normally label it as a server, which try to collect data from this iris scanner. So if Ravindra Pandey comes to iris scanner, so server will notify Ravindra Pandey employee entry 8:40 a.m. Wednesday, 19th Jan 2021, something like that sort.
But sir, here I think on the left hand side we have the current system, which is the paper and pen kind of system, and
Right,
on
ma'am.
the right hand side we have the solution which we are planning to implement, or which is a
Right.
requirement.
Uh-huh.
So the guest pass entry and all, I mean, I'm not sure why they are
No,
out.
no, okay. You are saying why it's pointed towards that thing. See, normally solutions are addressed with a problem, right?
Yeah.
It could be, see, it depends on how you predict as a personality. This is what I can say, personality difference or approach differences. Even that arrow can be pointed towards the solution, if you ask me personally. This
Yes,
was,
yes,
this was basically created for by one of our participants. I really like the idea. That's why I kept this diagram, right? So in that scenario, let's not take this as an universal thing. See, you as a person, right? You as a person have your own pros and cons. So what I'll suggest now, as in homework, try to create an HLD of attendance enhancement management system. Try to jot down pen and paper or word, whatever. Let me open a word for you and try to guide you how we can do it, right?
But
So
sir, I
go
just
ahead,
don't
please.
know what things I need to put in these
Sure.
boxes.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Just give me a minute. I'll start share of the Microsoft Word, and we can basically understand how we can do it. Okay. Could you see my screen?
Yes.
This is a Microsoft Word.
Yes.
Okay. This is so let's try to I'll go to insert, right? Insert, and there's something called shapes. Could you see this? I'll click
Yes.
I don't know, this is a kind of rectangle which I've chosen, right? I can basically go and give him the color and the feel and whatnot I like. So I can choose whatever I like. I'll leave it up to you to choose colors and all those things, right? So okay, could you see my rectangle?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Now let's try to make it a bit interesting. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build a solution for enhanced attendance management system. So I'll write ENHANCED enhanced ENDNC. I mean,
Sir, it is not.
yeah, I know. It's coming in white because that's the default thing. So what I'll do this thing. It should be black, right? Oh man. And I'll make it, let's say 15. Okay, it's going back. So what I'll do, I'll click here and say send back. No? Yeah, coming on. Okay, let's do it again.
Uh,
Insert shape, this this one, and I'll draw this one, and I'll select something like this. No, this. There are many this thing available also. You can choose. Let's go with this guy. Okay, so ENHANCED enhanced. Wow, I just got one right. So this happens. Array. Right? No, what I'll do, I'll make it a bit larger so that everybody can see. Could you read these things, or could I make any more larger?
It's
Let's
good.
see.
It's
Right?
good.
It's
Yeah.
okay, sir.
Yeah. No, let's try to, jot down some problems which I've discussed, starting with the first meeting and all those things, right? So what I'll try to say, he said he has problems with, or let's say challenges with
Current
what do
system.
you, yeah, attendance manual, 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 ENDNC attendance. So we have challenge with manual system, right? Oh man. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll basically put a bullet point to this so that I can understand separately, distinctly, right? Non CENTRILISED centralized. So now all these manual systems are normally non-centralized, right? So everybody have their own type of register. They try to solve these attendance with those register and so on and so forth, right? So it's a non-centralized. Lot of manual what you can say, intervention, right? Or lots of manual disturbances, let's say TRVN, TIONS, interventions. How do you call it? Okay, that I didn't comment. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to understand their business problem, and these are the few problems which are discussed whenever I gone and met them, right? So there could be a list of such challenges. Then what I'll try to do, I'll try to go and try to give a solution to these problems. So what I'll do, I'll try to evolve this system to a solution which I'm trying to give, and I'm trying to give a centralized system. And how I can give it, I give something like cloud. Everybody understand what you mean by cloud?
Yes.
Anyone who wants an explanation about cloud? Could you see good blue cloud here?
Yes.
So I'll change the color
Yes.
for this guy. I'll say gradient fill. No, not that color, some different color. Let's use this. No, that's also kind of going with the theme. Let's use this thing. Okay, so I'll say bring to front. So these are the some facilities we can use while developing diagrams within the Word. And it's simple, right? I'm just doing click, click, click and use it, right? So what are the solution? CLOUD, cloud. Oh man, cloud. BAS. Was it cold? Man, CLOUD, right? Okay. Cloud based solution, which will be 24/7. TRILISED centralized. So I'll put it in all in a bulleted point so that I can let's say 21 again. Let's put I'll give a right mark to it. I can choose whatever I like, right? I can choose the bold, I can choose the font, whatever I like. So there are various options available here. So do beautify it the way you want it, right? So it's up to me as an artist. It up to me as an building this HLD the way I like it, because it's also attached to my personality, right? So I develop this HLD as per my thought process, as per my vision, understanding, and that's how I keep going on. And I can add many other things. So let's have non-manual ke liye I have something like bio METRIC scanners, so that it'll be less manual dependent, and everything is getting automatic. And then I'll club leave management system as well, right? So see, in IT we normally try to use big words like leave management system. It's just an a database or a table which is getting updated by your attendance, but we call it attendance management system, and we try to glorify whatever we give as a solution to a client, and that's how the whole thing works, right? So this is what my HLD. So this can be an actual HLD in a presentation, and the senior people can really think through. Okay, so what are the first problem? And this is just the level 1 HLD. And this will get updated day by day whenever I start discussing in depth one meeting after the other and so on and so forth. And I do it iteratively nowadays. So for that, as far as Agile goes, I keep evolving this solution. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions for me?
Yes, sir. I have that question. Where what things will come in that pop-up kind of thing, which is in the comment or something, which is out of the first box?
Okay, good. I'll just add this thing. I'll just show you how to, basically share search diagram. So
But
I've
we
just,
can see the black screen.
okay, yes. I just give me a minute, please. Because, okay, sorry, I need to do this then. Ek minute, so I need to stop share of Word. Let me, stop share and start sharing the presentation screen, right? Okay. Now I've added a slide and I'm presenting the diagram here. Come on. And I'm trying to make it bigger so that everybody can see and then we can discuss in depth. Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Now you say where that pop-up, right? That additional thing, right? Again, here in my PPT, I can have this shape. So what I'll do, there are something called call outs here. Okay, this one. So if I want to add anything, I can, use these things. So in subsequent meetings, after certain days, somebody said Ki State Farm uses something like SAP or JD Edwards. These are the enterprise resource programs or products they use for their internal organizational resource planning. Okay, this is called enterprise resource planning basically. So it's ERP. So it's like SAP, and every organization has its own way of managing their enterprise resources, right? So we need to add a thing called integrating with with SAP or JD Edwards or OPN ERP, whatever the enterprise resourcing software they are using. So I have to add these afterwards because this came in a subsequent discussions. Could you understand me? Okay, and I am adding it to a solution so I can, I can basically point it to this also because I am adding it to a solution, right? So we can say solution inclusions also here, or addition to the solutions at so and so day. So I try to maintain the different version of HLD also because I try to maintain different version of SRS, and this is a kind of diagram which I normally include in my SRS, which is a Word document predominantly. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Okay, sir.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So, I mean that the one which is inside the cloud is the initial solution given to the stake client, and
Right.
then we with the different iterations we just decided to have these add-on kind of things in the
That's
solution.
right. That's right.
So that is why it is coming like in those pop-up boxes.
That's right. We will keep it separately. Very right.
We are trying to keep it separately, or it is off, or oh, okay, it didn't
No.
come up with the first iteration of the
Exactly.
product.
Right. And we try to keep it separate because we have something called traceability maintenance or requirement traceability. So each and every requirement is normally traced by the meeting, traced by the date, time, and all those things, whatever the organizational quality processes requires.
But this is possible only in agile methodology, right?
No, ma'am. Traceability is there for ages, but yes, we will track it religiously with Agile. That's right.
Okay.
So
Because-
where can we add iris scanner in this diagram?
Yes, very rightly said. So I have say biometric scanner in subsequent meeting. If we have decided like we need to use iris scanner, so I'll go to again insert. I'll try to insert something like let's use his symbols. So I'll try to add something like this, a progressive element saying okay, date 15th Jan I don't know how to spell iris.
IRIS.
There's no E, right? Okay, sorry for that. Iris scanner I believe yes. Word is taken that this thing included, right? Something like that. And then I can zoom in, zoom out, so I can basically reduce the font size of this, and these cosmetic changes I can do whenever I like. So so this is kind of inclusion, right? So there are ways and means we can basically do it, and it's also again depend on the personality, right? Depends on how me as an analyst want to include this thing, because this is also owned by me. This is a part of SRS which is owned and revised, and sorry, I believe this is okay right now. Could you see the complete diagram, right? You could see the complete diagram.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no.
Sir, so my first HLD will not contain these pop-ups.
That's
My
right.
subsequent HLDs, after some revisions or after
That's right,
certain
ma'am.
iterations, I'll have these pop-ups.
Very rightly said.
Okay.
And as we discuss, each of these SRS is a release document. So we released each and every version within a week or within a month's time, depending on the organization's way of doing it. And the FRS is a live document which is get updated day in, day out. So what do you mean by released?
And
I release a document on 15 January. Then I'll release another version on 30th January or 15 February as per the discussions, as per the evolution, as per the requirement by the team, so that we can also keep the track, and we also keep adding or keep getting better as far as the solution goes. The crux is we are trying to evolve a solution. We are trying to evolve as per the business of the client, as per the business of the State Farm. So whatever State Farm demands, State Farm take to me as a requirement, I'll add it to it with the subsequent budgetary meetings and approvals and presentation and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
so after the base diagram, the integrating with and the date 15 January, whatever we are adding on, they come under iterations, right, sir?
That's right, man. That's right. And we maintain something called revision sheet. We will discuss in depth in SRS where the revision sheets comes in. Revision sheet is a table where I try to include Ravindra Pandey updated HLD on 18th January 9 a.m. and added block for iris scanner, which is an inclusion suggested by the CEO of State Farm. Something like that sort. So this makes who requested this, who made me add those things in the HLD, and who if I'm basically taken initiative to shows a solution to the requirement, that's also get depicted clearly. So that's why business analysts get the most awards, because we have very high visibility across the board. We have high visibility across the senior management, and that's why even project managers normally get a very lesser award than BA, because project manager, even it's being a visible entity, we normally are encouraged to give suggestion or depict or present suggestion to the complete board, right? So that's why analysts are the best appreciated people across the teams. Could you get that?
Yes, sir.
But also we are the most critical in terms of trying to understand very senior person's vision, trying to convert it into a requirement or a functionality. So we have a responsibility on a shoulder, right? So it's not as easy as it thinks or looks to everybody else, but we need to put some sweat. We need to work on our tools. We need to work on our presentation for presenting such scenarios. Okay, so it's a crucial job. So there's a responsibility included in this. Does that make sense? Anybody have any question?
So you said that it will be released for example,
On a particular day.
after a week and week on a particular day. So
Right.
when we released it, again we have to show the basic diagram and adding the diagram also, or only the updated diagram?
No, only the updated one.
Okay.
So, okay, as we said, we use something like cloud. So wherever you work, be it Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, Wipro, they have certain their cloud storage for the previous release document. So there'll be a folder on your project documents saying system requirement specifications, and all these SRS normally labeled as SRS for Enhanced Attendance Management System, State Farm, 15th Jan 2021. That's all. So what it means, SRS for Enhanced Attendance Management System for State Farm, the release date was 15th Jan 2021.
Okay.
So it's understood this was a old release, and the current release can be labeled as Enhanced Attendance Management System for State Farm draft version. What is draft? Which is under progress, which is not yet approved. Release version is normally approved by all the stakeholders within Infosys, within Cognizant Wipro TCS, and within State Farm as well, because State Farm is going to pay for this, right? So the budgetary approvals is a kind of inclusion to the SRS. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, no problem. So this is what HLD. Now,
Sir,
yeah, go ahead, please.
then release is basically a sprint. One sprint is a release.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, now we are going to the development or a construction phase. For them, one sprint is a release, that's right. For SRS, for analyst, for tester, they have their own way of sprint measuring or, sprint labeling. So we might go walk. Okay, normally analyst can be 1 or 2 or 3 member team. So they have their own, different sprint. That's what we talk about. We'll talk about this, different sprint, different backlog clearance, auditory artifact creations and all in the Scrum Meet in depth. Okay, this is what we call auditory artifact generation. So we will discuss each and every auditory artifact getting created within sprint. So development team creates code. They develop code, right? Normally in software scenario, in product scenario, they manufacture product. So if you're in a pen manufacturing company, the cap manufacturing, the refill manufacturing, the pen manufacturing, in the sense that plastic body or glass body or whatever body you're manufacturing, there are separate lines for manufacturing these, and then we assemble it, right? So the process gets completed when the complete pen is assembled and tested, right? So that whole process is actually comprises of various sprints. So we normally have a 1 week standardized sprints. There could be a sprint which can be planned for 2 weeks at the max, but normally it's a 1 week sprint. So even BA, we have a weekly sprint. So normally, if you release a document on, let's say, I think 4th was a Monday. So 4th you can release one, and let's say the 4th plus 24th, right? Give me a minute. So next to next Monday can be the second release, and depending upon the iteration, the organizational policy processes form can be adopted as well. Why this is a release? Because we don't normally continuously engage ourselves in a given product evolution or a solution evolution. So analysts are included whenever there is a need as such, or wherever there is a need of major updates, because which has to be discussed with the stakeholders, understand their wish list, understand in depth why and what they want to update, and so on and so forth. So what we do, we plan these analysis iterations whenever the project management teams or the project manager and the PMOs of the body which things fits. So normally we'll have a sprint span for a month or a month plus, and then there is a gap, and then there's another sprint plan for next month or two. This happens. So we normally, that's why it's a release document. Live documents are normally getting updated each and every minute, if not each and every second, or each and every day, if not each and every minute. Okay, could you understand the live document and a release document differences and the utility of it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So please bear with me. Another question. What is meant by sprint?
Good question. Really great question. Sprint is normally, no. Okay, let me explain. Sprint is normally a cycle of development. So when I say I'm completing one pen in a week's time, that's my sprint. So I am trying to produce 10,000 pens in a week. That's my one sprint. Does that answer your question?
Okay, sir.
In software scenario, we have list of requirements, list of 7 to 8 requirements or a functionality, which I'm going to construct within this week with my 15-member team. And that's my one sprint. That's a software development way of thinking, right? For analyst, I have to do SRS for these 3 discussions going on. That can be my sprint. So within analyst team, which I'm working in, we can have 3 analysts working on let's say one product, one solution, or one service type of vision, and we build this SRS for different SRS within that sprint. Right, so that's how my work is get planned, and it depends on the reporting authorities, depends on the company procedures and policies as well. So you might not work on multiple, but a unified solutions or product offering as well. It depends on organization to organizations, and there's no best practice, because every client, every company has its way of working, has its way of understanding, and going in depth for a particular domain as well. So there are many variables here at stake. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now let's take down a homework. Okay. Try to present an HLD, right? Try to present an HLD of a solution which you want to give. I'll give you a free hand of thinking about a solution. I'll give you a free hand of trying to understand the business policies, procedures, and give a solution to that as well. If you can't come up with anything, you can have this attendance management system enhancement at your disposal. You can work on this HLD. I have given you a vague idea, right? But don't just copy this thing. Try to include your own way of solutioning it, because every person is an artist, right? He or she should add his way of working. Right, go ahead, please.
So you are asking to again build another HLD in
right.
Whatever we think.
Yeah, Word, pen, paper, whatever it may be. If it's a pen, paper, click a photo and you can send it on a group, right? So that we can discuss here. You'll get around 3 to 5 minutes to explain your HLD. Does that make sense?
Sir, I am asking, not this enhanced attendance management system. We can take any other problem.
Any other business challenge, right? Last time, one of the participants have presented fitness group program.
Okay.
It's an Android app he presented. It was a really great presentation. One of the participants also presented a voice support bench for remote working. So that was a really good thing, and we'll learn from that. Basically, I'll share the recordings with you so you can go through those as well.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. Any other question for me? So we discussed about HLDs, right? So let's try to understand how the HLD in actual world look likes, and what are the intricacies normally people try to include. And again, you don't have to include it right away. We are in a learning phase, right? So we'll go step by step. We'll try to address it step by step. Now, how solution sharing happens in a normal IT company? We have something called layer approach. What is a layer approach? We have different layers in a solution. One is presentation layer, where there are web pages to be designed, colorful web pages, colorful buttons, colorful images, and so on and so forth. And there's something called business layer. What is a business layer? So we normally interact with the logical decisions here. So we take some service interfaces, we build some workflows, we design some functionalities, and then there's a data access layer. Data access layer is basically a layer where we try to connect to a database. There could be different databases where we pull the data from, like in our enhanced attendance management system. We can pull the data from SAP system. If you want to approve a leave, we can push the data to the SAP system wherever the attendance is marked for a given employee, right? So there's a push-pull mechanism. These mechanisms are pushed into data access component layers, and then of course there's a database, data storages. So these are the 4-layer application architecture. So we call it N-tier applications. Anything above 3-layer, 2-layer, and N-tier applications. So this is a N-tier application layer. Does that make sense?
Can you again describe what is push-pull?
Sure, no problem. Push means the car. I pushed you, right? So I'm pushing the data to the other systems. This is push. Pull, I'm getting the data from the system. So let's say if I want to apply for a leave, let's say I want to have a leave tomorrow. So what my HR will do, will go to the SAP and say how much leave balance I have, because all these attendance are normally reflected in my payouts, right? So he'll mark, okay, is it like paid leave? Is it unpaid leave? Is it a casual leave? Is it a sick leave? Is Ravindra trying to take a sick leave? Have he, submitted the doctor certificate if it's a need or something like that? So these are all decisions have a logical impact, which is basically decided at business layers. And then data access layer thinks through where to pull the data from or where to push the data to, right? Data pushed to a system, data pulled from a system. Does that make sense, ma'am? Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Raviji, can we go over this application layers again? I'm a bit confused.
Sure, definitely, ma'am. I can understand. This is a bit challenging for whoever is not worked in a IT. So understandable. And again, we don't have to implement layers diagram as of now, because again there are various variation. I'll come to that also. So there are vertical layers and horizontal layers. So let's not get complicated. Let's try to understand. Okay, so there are some layers of a solution wherever you try to give an IT solution. So normally a product or a project solution offering has these layers, or they are logically distinguishable layer. These are not physical layer. It doesn't mean like iris scanner is a UI component, or the server is a business layer or a data layer. No, the physical component can be one. These are depicted just to understand or segregate the different functionality layers. Okay, so these are logical, not physical. Again, now there's a presentation layer. Whatever the users see on his screen is a presentation layer. So whenever that HR person opens your leave attendance type of table, where Ravindra Pandey have taken 3 CLs, 2 CLs and 5, so 5 CL available in the 6 months, so he still can use 3 CL casual leaves, right? So I can have a paid holiday as in casual holiday. So casually I am informing HR, hey HR, I'm going to take a leave tomorrow, please mark my leave in the calendar. And this marking get distributed within the team, that the system does it. So in a presentation layer, the HR person, HR executive just mark Ravindra's leave for tomorrow, right? And then the business layer basically accepted that and tried to calculate within the environmental factors, checking with the all leave balances and so on and so forth, will decide if the salary has to be deducted, then my salary table, salary database will get updated accordingly. So salary database is in my data storage. So this can be at a Bloomington office. This can be at a Chicago office, depending on where our organizations decided to keep the salary table or salary disbursement calculation database, right? So from there, I'll normally get salaries before the last day of the month. That's normally happens in US. Okay, so these payouts are calculated based on the data collected at that database, right? So this is how these logical layers normally try to give a clear idea of which layer is addressing which functionality. So UI layer are basically web pages, what we see on our laptop. So if you log in via phone or via laptop, whatever you see on the screen are the presentation layer. Business layers are the layers who decide. These are the decision nodes. These take the decisions, like what are the things to be checked, what are the different paths can be executed, what is the best suitable path, optimized path, and data access layer normally decides which database we need to update. So that be a push, and which database I need to grab so that I can take a decision is basically pulling the data from a system. So there could be a number of systems working together for a simple business execution. And this is how it happens within this layered approach. Does that make sense, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
No problem. Great.
I just
Anybody
wanted
else
to
have any
understand
question?
the logic behind it.
Come again, ma'am.
I just wanted to understand the logic behind it.
Yes.
And kind of steps involved. Okay.
Right. These are all logical layers.
Okay.
There's nothing physical about it.
Right.
if I can say
if
so.
you know the flow, then you understand it.
Exactly. And again, everybody don't depict in layer. Normally they just have one, HLD, as I told you. And normally these layers are created by the system designers or, system architects, because they are more enabled towards this. And these layers are normally segregated after defining the technology to be used. So if I decide to use something like .NET or Java, there are many changes within these layers, depending on the platform I'm going to implement these solutions to. So, that's why normally layered approach is not given or shouldered to the business analyst nowadays. This is also another evolution. Previously, the PM used to work as a business analyst, right? So he has all the things on his shoulder, whatever possible in the world, and that's how he was, addressing the. Even he used to do this initial designing and architecting of the solution. So he has to build this layered approach and all those things. I've just introduced it for us to understand. So if a PM comes to you after the kickoff meeting and tells you, could you suggest? Is it a business layer heavy application or a database layer heavy application? So what does it mean? If it's a transactional system like banking or stockbroking, it's a database heavy thing. So everything is decided by the data available to me. So it's a transactional system. If it's a more of logical system, like a shopkeepers, like they have something like POS. We call it POS, POS, point of sale. Now, point of sale itself is a computer which is connected to a cloud by a phone line, internet, or whatever it may be. So the POS is basically a small computer, small piece, or small terminal. That's how we call it. So it's kind of comes in presentational layer and business layer, which is heavy enough to address all the problem. Right, and then it connects to the data access layer, data storage, different servers, and all those things. So it's a front-end heavy system. POS is a front-end heavy system. Now we use just a mobile, like Amazon.com. They have the application, right? The SDK, which is UI heavy or presentation layer heavy application, because presentation lets you decide which to choose, which size of shirt, size of shoes, which color, and blah blah thing. And the business layer just directs your request to the data access layer and data sources. Does that make sense? Does this example, make any sense to you?
Yes.
No problem. Any confusion at this moment?
No, I'm good.
Great.
So,
great.
sir,
No problem. Go ahead, please.
nowadays we don't use these application layers as a business analyst.
Right, ma'am. But why I'm sharing with you is you should know, like there's something called layer approach diagram. Okay, so just it's for your knowing. So if anybody asks in the interview, how many layers are there normally predominantly? So there are 3 layers. So there's a UI layer, there's a business layer, and DB layer. That's the normal thing. Means that's how the layered approach was evolved in late 80s. And that's how we basically came up with this N-tier architecture. Nowadays everything is N-tier. So you have a UI or a presentation layer, you have a business layer, you have a data access layer, you have a DB layer. DB is basically a storage layer also, right? So this way the layer can be labeled depending on the policies and procedure implemented within your organization. So that's why normally these are migrated from business analyst to a designer or architect level, because now technologies are so evolved. We are normally working in a 6th generation language, right? So what is a 6th generation language? We have clarified various processes within our development. We have put lots of evolutionary components within our development platform, and they can serve you much better way than in earlier days. Okay, so that's why this layered approach has been migrated. But there could be some discussions whenever you try to discuss your solution within the team. This might come up like, okay, so what do you think? Is it a UI heavy application or a business heavy application? So business heavy application is not like business people have to do a lot. No, it's updating the layers of the solutions which you are suggesting. Okay, we will discuss this thing in depth whenever we are coming to interviews, and we'll understand how normally questions are asked. Okay, we have some interview mock session also planned for you. Yeah, again, please be there wherever Devji plans those reference ready resume building session. I know you don't have to build a reference ready resume right now, but let's try to understand what needs to be done, because it's a process, right? And quite a few times it's taking a bit longer time than it was planned. So what we want to do it proactively. So please, I think there's a 10 a.m. session on Tuesday, so tomorrow. So please be there. You can be a silent spectator, okay? And so you can just log in through your mobile and try to listen or understand what he's trying to convey to all this participants which basically develop their profile as of now, and they are going to present their profile also. So there are lots of learning within those areas as well. Okay, so that's what my humble request. Please be there. I know if you're working, then it'll be a bit challenge, but try to join in and try to understand how the process is. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Now we have seen horizontal layer, and then there are certain vertical layers called security, operational management, and communication. I don't want to complicate too much, but I'm just sharing with you. So there are some vertical layer and horizontal layer. Vertical layers are normally execution, users, UI components, service interface, business workflows, business components. Then we have data access layers and so on and so forth. So let's not complicate matter. This is also called as an HLD. This is a kind of quite technical HLD in a scenario, but normally this was we used to create in late 80s. So please don't worry on that. But if somebody asks you a question, you should be able to answer about the layers and the label or a nomenclature they use. That's why I'm sharing this diagram with you. Please don't get baffled. Please don't get what I can say, frightened by these diagrams. Okay, all these technical people who have worked in IT can easily understand this because they have seen one way or the other, something like that. Okay, any question? Go ahead, please.
Horizontal layers are the executable layers, right?
No, these are the support layer. That's how they call it. What do you mean by support? They run parallel to the whole thing. Means security has to be maintained from the web page to the database, right? The operational management, I need to understand how much operations do I need from a user's perspective, user support or database support level. So I try to basically plan these layers whenever that application is ready or deployed, and then I plan these vertical layers afterwards. So these are the layers which are basically spanned throughout the life cycle of these layers. So, you can call it a support layers, basically. That's how they label it, support layer. Does that answer your question, ma'am? I know it's a bit confusing, so bear with me on this. No problem.
Sir, you are saying that these things were we were using in the past.
Right, ma'am.
I think even in the current, we are using the same model, right?
There could be very few companies who use this thing nowadays because we have better tools, right? Use case diagram. They can give you a real clear execution path for each and every functionality. So we normally rely on those things. So now we are going into detailing in certain certain way, and we are normally trying to look at the complete application from a bird's eye view. What is bird's eye view? I'm trying to view it from 100-foot height, so that I try to get a complete picture of an solution, so I can understand all these aspects are covered, whatever business have put before you, right? So that's how I progress the evolution of the design and architect, because analysts are not designers, we are not architect. What we do, we convert the vision to the requirements and to a functional level. So I am trying to build a bird's eye view. If there is a requirement, or I normally depict 2 or 3 functionalities in the use case, so that the development team can understand the intricacies. Development team can understand the in-depth alternative path or a parallel path within those use case diagram. So that's how we have better tools at our disposal as of now. So rather than having all this thing crumbed up in a HLD, we try to segregate things. Now there are various different type of diagrams, different type of documents we create for different reasons, and that's how the things are evolved for analyst as well. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
No problem.
In bird's eye view, there is no question of horizontal layers and vertical layers, I think so.
Come again, please. I couldn't understand your question, ma'am.
Yeah, in bird's eye view diagrams, there is no question of horizontal layers and vertical layers. Right?
Yes, nowadays, yes. Nowadays, these things are clearly planned by the architect guys, system architect guys, because there are other levels to it as well attached, like methodologies, framework. Let's not go there. I'm a technocrat, so I might go into technicalities, because there are other parameters which are really evolved nowadays. So these architects and designers, they take care of these horizontal and vertical layers. But yes, if the discussions tabled it anywhere, me as an analyst can discuss it or can understand what they're trying to say, because IT people, as you know, they try to live in their own world. They have their own group. They talk in their own vocabularies. So we are trying to understand this vocabulary. And that's why I'm trying to enable you with these, terminologies called layered approach, horizontal layer, vertical layer. These are all logical. Everything can be just one computer or one small phone for that matter, right? Amazon. For me, Amazon is what all there on my mobile screen, right? The smartphone screen. That's all Amazon I know. And by clicking, I can get my food order, I can get my dress order, I can get my, whatever I need to do as far as purchases go, right? And then there's Ola. Ola is also UI heavy, application, APKs or, product. Ola, Uber, right? Anybody use Ola, Uber, the cab?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
So that's what I'm doing. So these are also heavy UI, applications, APKs we develop, right? So does that answer your question, ma'am?
I'm good, sir.
Okay, great, no problem. Thank you. Let's
Sir,
go ahead. Okay.
Sir,
Go ahead, please.
sir, these vertical layers like security and communication will extend even up to the data sources, right?
Yes, ma'am. There could be separate components, and that's why we took it from analysts, because analysts are not techie people normally. They try to suggest solutions from a business view. So we talk business language rather than technical language. We need to learn technical language because we are a mediator. So if the technical team asks कि ये क्या है, UI heavy है कि DB heavy है, so I could be able to answer them, right? So that's why I'm sharing this with you. But this question will come whenever you through with your SRS release cycle and afterwards. So I'll be there with you. Please don't worry. I'm just trying to share, if in interview the interviewer asked you how many layers are there and what are these layers, so you can just tell UI layer, business layer, and database layer. That's all. And if any addition of a layer, it's called N-tier architecture. N-tier is the word which normally are used or can be used asked in the interview. That's what our experience is. So you should know what you mean by N-tier. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No
sir.
problem. Let's go ahead. And then this is also kind of HLD. So we are building a mobile app and a web app. So we have something called the gateway, the REST API, the account service, inventory service, storefront app, then inventory DB, account DB, shipping DB. This is a typical, shopping app. That's what we call, right? And this is what we call microservices architecture. I'll come to that slowly, steadily. So these dabbas are all microservices serving data to the user. That's how they call it. That's how it's labeled as a microservice architecture, right? This again from an interview standpoint. Okay, so something like this is also HLD. Here the problems are not material. I am developing a product for a users. So my users are using mobile app and a browser-based app, so that they can avail these account services, they can avail these inventory services, and they can avail these shipping services. So this is something like an online store, like Amazon and blah 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 stuff of the world. Okay, don't get confused. Just try to understand, try to visualize how the Amazon works internally. So how Amazon works, if I'm working from my mobile, I want to order a new, let's say, sari. I want to have something like dark brown sari, or a special kanjivaram, or whatever you call it. Okay, so what I do, I log into the Amazon. There's a search bar. I'll type kanjivaram sari and I'll hit enter. Then that request will go to the inventory services or the shopping services, where they'll list down the kanjivaram colors, make, models. I don't know about kanjivaram, so I'll stop speaking on that terms. But yes, they'll give me some choices. And then I select and I click, okay, I want to purchase this. So they'll ask me, okay, so how are you going to pay? I'll say, okay, whatever Amazon account or, Amazon Pay, right? Amazon Pay. So I clicked on Amazon Pay. So the amount get deducted from the pay account and the sari will get shipped to me. They'll also tell me how soon I can expect the sari, within a day, within a week, and whatnot. So those scenarios. So all these functionalities implemented in something like this. These are microservices. So these are services. What is a service? I keep asking, what do you want from me? Okay, you want a sari. Okay, then I'll go to another person and ask, okay, I want a sari. So who is the right person? So he'll say, okay, go to Ravindra. So I'll go to Ravindra. Ravindra, I want a sari. Say, okay, which type of sari? Then I'll go to user again. Which type of sari? He'll say, okay, Kanjiram. Then I'll tell Ravindra, Ravindra, I want a Kanjiram. So he say, okay, Kanjiram. Then I have this 16 type of Kanjiram. Which one you want? So I'll go back to the user and ask, okay, which type of Kanjivaram do you want? He say, okay, I want a brown with checks and, normally those things. So he say, okay, yes, that's Kanjivaram, cost around $660. So he say, okay, I'll tell the user. Users, do you have $60? Okay, yeah. So you pay me. I'll get that checked Kanjivaram for you in a brown color. This is what it looks like in a photo. Now I'll deliver it to you. If you pay now, within the next 3 hours, you'll get delivered by tomorrow or day after tomorrow, depending on the logistical arrangement of the store and so on. So this is how the microservices work. So you keep asking about how I can help and answer as per the user's demand. This is what we call microservices. So microservices architecture. Okay, and then again, this is a bit complicated. Now these are what you can say typical application layer. Oh, sorry. Anybody have any questions on this microservices layered architecture? There are no clear layer in terms of UI, business, or DB here. We are talking about microservices. Does that make sense? Anybody have any confusion?
I'm good.
I know it's a bit too much. Oh man, we are almost at 11 o'clock. Okay, we should wrap up. Okay, we'll revise, don't worry, tomorrow also. This is another way of having vertical and horizontal layers as well. So same thing basically. Okay, so like remote interface, web interface, don't go into the wordings here, they are a bit technical. I just put it here to impress you. Sorry. no worries. So this is also another way of dabbas and connecting or interacting with each other overall. So we have presentation, service, and a data layer and a DB, frankly speaking, right? And we'll discuss about microservices again in next class. We'll try to understand various this is a typical microservice architecture of Amazon Web Services. We'll discuss this thing next time. We'll also start on user story, if possible in next or next to next session, because user story is a now typical way of collecting requirements. We will try to build some user story based requirement rather than Excel sheet also in quite a few organizations. So I believe I'll request Richaji to join us in our next or next to next class. I believe next to next, because we have to discuss your homework also, right? So yes, please draw an HLD high level diagram, whatever you feel as a business problem. Like you can take this enhancement in attendance management system at State Farm and try to depict something like this, or you can try to depict something like this. These are again in designed in Microsoft Word. So same thing. You can use Microsoft Word. You can use pen and paper. If you use pen and paper, try to click a picture and upload it to the group. So again, we can discuss it in depth, right? And again, this is an artistic way of working. There's no right or wrong. So we are trying to understand a new way of depicting vision, depicting our thoughts. So try to, work with me here. There are different personalities. There are different thought processes. So diagram can be really different from each other. Let's not compare. We can get what I can say, prerana from somebody, but let's not try to copy anything. Let's try to be ourselves, because you as in persons, you as an analyst, I want to evolve. I want to really enable with all the tools available within our system, right? And that's how I work. So please keep guiding me to help you better. And let's try to do these, small homeworks. It'll take hardly 15 or 20 minutes. Just think about a problem. You can think while working also, and then take a pen and paper, or you can use Word and try to build a diagram. And let's try to discuss, how do you feel about giving a solution, right? That's the most important thing we are trying to depict here. Does that make sense? Anybody have any question for me?
No, we're good. I'm good.
Good to sir.
Sir, can you please share the presentation?
Yes, I'll share the presentation. I'll share the HLD and even today's what you can say recording also, so you can go through it if you feel like that.
Yeah. No, the presentation, because some bullet the pictures which you have which I have missed in the starting sessions. So those pictures are really good. That envision kind of pictures of BA.
Sure,
and
sure, sure, ma'am. I can understand. I'll share the presentation. Please don't worry. But
Thank
I'll not share the presentation afterward because unnecessarily it will confuse you, right? So I'll share the, first these slides which we have revised today also. So I think, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll share that PDF. Even
Yes.
I'll share that video also BPMN too, so that you can also look at it. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else I can help you with?
I'm good.
Thank you.
We are good, right? Great, great, no problem. So let's try to do this, HLD homework whenever you can, and it'll hardly take 10-15 minutes. Please don't worry more on that. And we'll have a class on 20th 9 p.m. right? 20th is
Friday.
Wednesday, right?
Oh, Wednesday, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Wednesday we have class at 9 p.m. sharp. Okay, and in that class we will discuss these HLDs, and we'll go ahead, please.
Sir, I was just checking that Richa ma'am has posted on the group that she'll be taking Agile classes for PMP batch, I guess.
Right.
So
She's
can
taking
we?
it.
No, she'll be starting with the Scrum and Agile kind of sessions.
But
So
ma'am, project managers, Agile and Scrum is different way of a different approach, frankly speaking. Because project managers, the way project managers approaches Agile methodology and the Scrum, he's an altogether different chair. I don't know. That's what I can say right now. I don't want to confuse you, because as an analyst, I can be a Scrum Master. That's right. Even project manager can be a Scrum Master. But again, the approach which we take from business analyst and a project manager is entirely different, because project manager leading the team for mostly cost, budget, schedule, scope, and all those different areas, while we are in an advisory capacity. Could you understand the difference, ma'am?
yes, sir.
Yeah, so for that, project manager's agility is totally different meaning than us. So pardon me, I will not even suggest you to, if you get the recording, please don't look at it, because it will confuse you unnecessarily. Okay, I'll share all the things which an analyst requires, so please don't worry on that part, trust me. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Please, anybody else have any question?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Chalo. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time. Have a good night. Pardon me, I've skipped a bit longer today, but I believe you enjoyed the session. Yes, and I'll share the recording of a current session within the next half an hour. So I'll also share the PDF of this presentation, so you can go through it. And Mansa ma'am, I'll also share the the older links with you, so you can go through them. Okay,
please.
And we can schedule a talk whenever you're free, and we can go through the presentation fast forward way whenever you are done with this recording and visualizations.
And welcome to the group, Mansa.
Thank you.
She's in a group. Yeah, she's in a group.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Good night. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.